Over the last year, the Lavender team has completely rebuilt Lavender from the ground up. We've looked at user data of how people use the product. We've looked at reply rate data to understand how that correlates with usage to generate the best possible emails. If you look at Lavender within the inbox, instead of being a floating group of panels to help you write email, now you've got this really streamlined view of a menu along the left side. And so I'm going to start here with the Start My Email function. You also have the Email Coach. You've got a deeper dive of more information about Kyle. You've got a web-enabled GPT, our mobile editor, a very popular feature from before, our frameworks, as well as GIFs. But let's say you're just starting from scratch. You'll notice here I've got some relevant reasons to reach out to Kyle. What Lavender's doing is we go out and we look and see what are going to be some of the top reasons that you might want to reach out to this person, and we just feed them over to you. So I can take this Q1 earnings report, and Lavender on the back end is going to generate what we think is a valid reason for reaching out based off of what we know about the report. And so I can take this, I can edit it if I don't necessarily agree, but in this case, I feel like we've done a pretty good job, and I can generate some cold emails. Lavender is going to use our best practice data. It's going to use our top performing frameworks, and it's going to give me a version of this email that should generate a good score. So I'm going to put this in, and you'll notice that Lavender immediately goes to work on providing what we believe to be its chance of getting a response. And so I'm going to close this up. The next thing I want to do is pull open Kyle's profile here. Nice, we got a 91. So I'm going to pull open Kyle's profile. You'll notice I've got information about Kyle, information about Kyle's company. Getting responses these days is harder than ever, and I want to make sure that you have access to as much context as possible, right? I feel like it's every day that there's a new AI tool that can generate a message. So you, as a seller, have to go deep on context in order to stand out. And so you have access to general info about Kyle. You've got access to Kyle's social media posts, podcasts that Kyle's been on, an understanding of Kyle's personality. You've got past work history, CRM insights from past conversations you've had. You've even got the call recordings available to you without having to leave the inbox. And so you can use all of these things to further add depth and context to whatever email you're writing. You also have information about the company, right? So let's say I want to look at certain job openings. Maybe for me, an analyst role is really important when I'm thinking about my outreach. Well, I can pull that up really fast, and we can also generate emails alongside this context. But the next thing I want to show you is the web-enabled GPT. So let's say you've got questions about the personalization data that you brought up. Let's say you want to understand how that impacts the persona that you're reaching about. Or maybe you just want to dig a little bit deeper into the market to understand if there's any interesting trends. In this case, I'm going to use why would MongoDB be worried about FY25 after a strong Q4? What Lavender's going to do is it's going to take this question. It's going to go search the web. It's going to use AI agents to summarize everything it found across the web and generate a good response for why we think that that could be the case. And so in this example, it came back with at least a starting point for us to go off of. I can try different prompts to potentially get a different answer, but I can also just ask it about like persona related questions. I can even continue to dig deeper with it to show you a deeper glimpse of what's going on in the back end. Now, the next thing I want to show is the email coach, but this email is already a 91, right? And if you look at Lavender data, you'll know that a 91 has a pretty good chance of getting a response. So I want to use a different email example to show you just how Lavender here can coach up your writing and make it really easy to do so. You'll see here this email score is a 79. It needs a little work, right? And so Lavender is going to show you all of the issues with this email, and anything that you see in here, we can provide ways to help, right? Even if it's something as simple as what it looks like on a mobile phone. You know, your reader, by the way, is 8 times more likely to have their first readout of your email on a phone. And so this big bulky paragraph is getting in the way. We can make it much easier for somebody to read that. And what you'll notice is after making those adjustments, the score is going to improve up to an 84. So just 2 keystrokes and we're already increasing our chance of a reply. But there's still quite a lot to be done, right? And so while I can go suggestion by suggestion and find new ways to write sentences, we've introduced a much faster way to get to a better email. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that email, we're going to apply our top frameworks, best practices, and we're going to rewrite the email for you. So I can now take this copy and I'm going to put it in, delete the old email. And what you'll notice is Lavender is going to rescore this email. So let's use MongoDB earnings. And with that, the score is improved up to a 94. Now, there's still things to improve. You'll see here, I've almost spent 10 minutes writing this email. A lot of that's due to the fact that I'm explaining how a lot of this works, but the color code system is designed to make sure that you're not spending too much time, right? So the fact that this is turned red is because I've spent a little bit too much time here. This 16 seconds is going to tell you exactly how long it's going to take somebody to read, and we've introduced a whole new set of models in the back end. This is something that I'm like sneakily excited about because Lavender has always helped you be more readily understood, but now we're introducing much more dynamic models to understand the situation and the context that you're in, right? So whether it's a first touch cold email, or you're following up on that email, or maybe you know them before, you've had a conversation, or you're in thread, we have different models for all of those different situations so that your score is adjusting according to exactly what's happening around you. And so these should adjust dynamically, but in the event that we're wrong and we just miss something in the context, you can actually go in and adjust these yourself. Last couple of things I want to show you would just be access to our frameworks, readily available where you can dig in and understand in depth anything related to whether it's trying to understand why our mousetrap works or an example of what that looks like. This can be really helpful if, say, you're going in and designing some new templates and you need some inspiration. Maybe you're building out a new cadence sequence or flow, whatever you want to call it these days. This library, readily available as you're writing, is going to be super helpful. All right, last thing, because it's fun, we do have a GIF library where you can search all of Giphy to insert and add GIFs to any email that you're writing. So in this case, I want to maybe add like a Lavender GIF. I can easily do that, copy and paste it in. We've completely rebuilt this product and I am super excited for you to try it because with Lavender 3.0, it has never been easier to write a great email and do it fast.